Hi, Rollers. What a nice music video for a nice song. I thank Prometheus UA for providing this one for us. Prometheus, I actually know Жадан и Собаки, Жадан and Dogs. I know this band, and I actually heard this song too, but I've never seen the music video, so it was really really awesome. Thank you. Good. Well, what? So I want to actually translate to you this part. Give me a second. Okay, here. Yeah, this one. So it says, don't touch what is not yours, or you will get fucked. Бо отримаєш пизди. So, yeah. Meaning you'll get fucked up. Something like that. So, yeah, Rohань, this song is called Rohань. Rohань is the district of Kharkiv. And, yeah, basically, in this song, you could see the subtitles. So probably you don't need me to read the text of the song, like all of it. What do you think? But I can do it for you, no problem. Okay, good. Dylan, so tell us how you're doing. What's going on? Where have you been lately? And all of that.
Sure. So I've been good. I've been filming a lot. I've been trying to keep busy. I just got back from Odessa. Before that, I was in the Konstantinivka area filming with a lot of the water delivery people, a lot of the evacuation people, getting the elderly out and the disabled out, and the other people who've waited a tremendously long time to evacuate from the city as the Russians are approaching from three sides. And I've just been trying to keep busy with my filming and my working. I filmed a bit of body recovery, a little more body identification than body recovery, trying to understand what those people do for a daily business, doing that for over 3 years now. The person I interviewed actually did it before the war started too. Obviously, though, now he's been a lot more busy. But I've been trying to keep busy.
That's good, because I know that you being busy means being productive for Ukraine. So thank you. I also wanted to ask you. So how many trips to east or south or west to the front line, meaning you already had in this run in Ukraine?
This time, well, I went to the Pokrovsk axis. So that was a trip. Went to the Konstantinivka axis. That was a trip. I went to Odessa. That was a trip. And each time I do one of these trips, I usually have like 4 or 5 embeds or something along that line. So, I'll be along there for something like a week. I also did some more embeds with Skval. That was a trip. So I would say over the last 2 months, I've had like around 4 trips. So like 2 trips a month.
Uh-huh. So this time you had already like 5?
Well, this time I'm at something like 4, and I'm gonna have 5, and I think another week. I'm gonna be heading back out there to the next region.
Got it. Now, are you visiting Kyiv when you're here in Kyiv Oblast, or just being there?
I'm usually just kind of being in Kyiv. I'm usually just in my apartment working on my scripts, or I'm concentrating on work because I got to do my streams during the week. Then I got to write articles for Offbeat, or at least get around to writing articles for Offbeat, and I got to release my documentaries. So I'm usually pretty swamped, but every once in a while, somebody invite me out for a pint, or somebody will, say, hey, let's meet up. I'm in the area, and I go check it out. But I'm not really a Kiev socialite. I'm not part of the English-speaking aristocracy of NAFO.
Do you think I'm part of it?
I don't know. I don't know if you have more of a jester role, or if you're more of a duke, or I don't really know your ranking in the aristocracy. I'm a shit shoveling peasant in the background.
As Brandon Mitchell said, I'm not a NAFO fella. I'm also not a NAFO fella, and I'm not in that hierarchy. And I'm actually trying to invite at least some Ukrainians, and in my mind, it's a lot of Ukrainians to my streams. So I'm not hanging out much with. I'm hanging out with a lot of rollers who are coming to Kyiv, and I like to invite them to the streams too, but not with celebrities. I rarely hang out with celebrities. So
Yeah, I just I don't really have much to do with these events sometimes, and I'm usually just busy, or I'm usually out east, and not many people hosting these types of parties in Kramatorsk.
Mm-hmm. Well, I also like to see. What did Dylan think of Odessa? That's a good question from Travis.
I liked it. I liked the beach. I liked the food. I recommend good butter if somebody wants a good steak there. That's how I judge cities, is by the quality of their steak. And Odessa's ranks pretty high.
Can you write the name into the chat because I didn't get it?
Good butter.
Good butter.
Like, good butter.
Dobre maslo.
And they also have good homemade butter, if it would surprise you. But their steak was fantastic. And I had a really nice time there. It was nice to smell the seawater. It was a nice view. It's very pretty. I like a decent amount of the architecture. It's very walkable. I checked out a nice little art cooperative where anybody could kind of just wander into. That was quite nice. And and I saw like the usual tourist stuff. I saw the Potemkin stairs, but there's so much more. I would like to go back and see if I got the chance again. Of course, I was also there primarily to work, and so I went out on this water with the Navy on some Swedish patrol boats that had Brownings strapped to the back of them as they were doing sea mine detection and just patrols.
Mm-hmm.
They actually shot down a drone that morning, the morning of our patrol.
Like when you were with them?
No, hours before. I was on the shore when the Russians were bombing Odessa last Sunday, and it's ever since 3 a.m. of that morning they were just going off and off and off. Couldn't get any sleep, so I eventually just stayed up, filmed some of it, and then when the mission happened later, they said, yeah, during that attack we shot down the drone.
Dylan is a celebrity in my book, Just Me said. Dylan, you're a celebrity, just not a aristocracy, right?
I'm a celebrity, but I'm not part of the aristocracy. So am I like a type of? Am I more like a celebrity in the way that like an Irish, like famous Irish criminal, like Quick Fingers or something, like Quick Fingers McGee is a celebrity? I'm not part of the aristocracy. Is it like a Robin Hood? No, I'm not a Robin Hood type figure.
Yeah, you're probably not Robin Hood.
No, I steal from the rich and then keep most of it for myself.
I think maybe I'm something close to Robin Hood. I wonder. Though the rich, they give money to me willingly, just wanting to support the Ukrainian army.
Now that you say that, maybe we do need some more Robin Hoods. We need a little bit less of the willing. Like, how about, remember that, those activists that broke into that factory in Belgium and destroyed all that equipment? What if we do that in reverse?
We give that equipment to Ukrainian army.
Yeah, we break in, take it. I don't know where it went.
That's a great idea, yeah. The problem is it's really hard to accomplish that if you don't have countries' resources in your pocket, and even then, it's gonna be.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be able to get far down the highway with the F-16.
Yeah, same. With some Patriot system, either I guess we won't be able to get out. You're like Sheriff of Nottingham, Rick. What the sheriff was doing, by the way? Was he how do you call that? An enemy of Robin Hood, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I think. I really don't know. I don't remember the Robin Hood story that closely.
Trump Musk are called reverse Robin Hoods, Cheryl says. Steal from the poor, give to the rich. Yeah. Exactly. Anyway. How are you doing, Georgie? Good?
It's great, guys. Sorry for delay. I was a bit delayed by, well, fooding. I decided that I need to get some food, and then I realized that when you write, we'll see each other at 10, that it was your 10 and not my 10. So I was like sitting there, stuffing my face, thinking about like, can I shove in a little bit of farming simulator in? And then I was like, oh wait, I need to work.
Hmm. Well, that's actually not a problem that you are late, because these streams, the Sunday ones, not all of them, they're going for
Yep.
5 hours, so you have plenty of time to be late. No worries. Um, okay.
It seems that people are saying that it's fine on my end, so we're good to go.
Okay, that's good. So, let me quickly mention one thing, guys, because I did not mention it today yet, and that's our NAFTA campaign. I want to thank Georgijs for helping us with it. He, in his videos, he mentioned the ongoing campaign of ours, and Georgie, I think thanks to you, it got at least an additional 3 or 4 thousand euros. Thank you very much.
That's pretty good. No worries. Always glad to help. We're right now kind of in between campaigns. We did the last one for the Alcatraz battalion. They are like ex-convicts from the 93rd Brigade. They reached out
Mhm.
to us and said like, "Hey, are you like Georgie? Like I know you're super busy, but like, can you help us out, please?" Because the contact person's there. She's like super sweet. Her call sign is Babca,
Ah,
and
nice.
and, and yes, and she's super sweet, and they're really tough direction. They're like just now reporting just how hard the fights are there. But we were able to get those 4 trucks that they really needed. They asked for additional like war drones and electronic warfare, but it's a bit harder to get those with the Car for Ukraine campaign. So we will look into it separately if we can. But great guys. So that was our last campaign, and I'm always glad to help with anything else I can. So for sure.
Thank you. By the way, Georges, I wanted to ask you, um, since you're providing the news and analytics, there are some awesome events that are happening on the territory of so-called Russian Federation, and the processes that might bring the disintegration closer. Um, one of the sides is their economy, right? The other side is that not everything is good with their weaponry, and they might claim that sanctions don't work, but some of them really work and making it hard for them. Yeah, can you please give us your rant about it, if you have the rant? If not, we know you're famous with rants. If you, Dylan, would like to engage in the conversation, I would be really happy also. And while you guys talk about that, I would like to work on the spreadsheet a bit, because those donations should be put into that thing. So thank you
Sure.
very much.
Then I'll take this over, and then Dylan, we can bounce it off. I've listened some of your analysis, Dylan, on the topic as well. So I think we're gonna mostly agree. And I don't think that whatever is happening right now in Russia is gonna impact the outcome of this war and speed it up in a in a way that a lot of people would want. The Russian economy is not doing super hot. That is true, but that is true that Russia will struggle increase their investment into their military capabilities, but it doesn't mean that they will just start running or stop producing stuff and so on. They have been doing it, and they will be continuously doing this. The only difference that what is happening right now with the Russian economy and it's being stagnating is not that it's going to collapse. Obviously, it can. It's like the same as Putin can die tomorrow
Yeah.
potentially, but that's about the same. Like we're talking about chances. If we're talking about essentially ceteris paribus, like if things are as equals, then we can clearly state that the decline of the Russian economy right now, and with the decline in their national wealth fund and just general stockpiles, we've seen there was an expectation actually that because of some of the oil jump that they would actually put some money into the national wealth fund, but it didn't turn out to be a lot. It was like just barely 1 trillion rubles, so it wasn't as much, which is great news for us. So their economy didn't get the boost that they were hoping for. But yes, coming back, so the only decline that Russian economy and what is happening there, it's going to be mattering long term, because what is going to start happening is they're going to start cutting into the social security networks, business networks. They're going to start consolidating power. And probably in 2026, people of Russia and probably businesses of Russia are going to start finally feeling something that potentially closely start being approaching somewhat to about being halfway to what Ukrainians are experiencing. So I want to be clear where our baseline is. Right now, for a regular Russian, the cost of war is very, very minor. So we cannot look at what's happening in Ukraine and just expect as like, oh, Russia is about to collapse. That's not. However, for their long term, for their ability to expand their military production, these blows are devastating. And with the increase that is happening both in Europe, and I think this the most important one, and then I'm going to pass it on, is the fact that the NATO document in their after their signing of the common memo stating that investments in Ukraine are basically equalized into investments to their own defense. So that means more investments will be going directly to Ukraine. I think Ukraine has the chances to very quickly catch up with Russian stagnating increase in their defense spending. But it's a scenario. We don't know for sure. But my hopes are there. What do you think, Dylan?
I agree in large part. I do think that you cannot underplay the significance of the Russian economic minister coming out and saying we're headed towards recession. You cannot underplay Putin having to come out and say, yes, inflation is because of the war, and having to directly in public connect difficulties in the personal lives of Russians who are dealing with economic problems that are impossible to ignore if you go to the grocery store every day with the war is something that could be a long-term social pressure for the Russians. And in fact, I think it's one of the reasons why Russian polling does indicate that if you ask the majority of Russians, they would like a negotiated settlement to the war. They would like I don't know if it would be a Trump-style deal, but they would like some negotiated deal. They're just not, let's just say they haven't gotten rid of the political apathy enough and made it difficult enough for them to take actions to bring that about outside of waiting for the government to get around to it eventually. I do think the economic problems will build more with time, but we also need to remember that there are like the cannibalization of the commercial banking sector. These are things that are going to hurt the Russians, but they have ways to relieve these pressures that our societies don't. This is not France. This is, it's not like, okay, the midterms are coming around the corner. We have to really change things up here. They have a top-down system of political control. And so because of how they can control the media, they can shift the blame. I've been reading the Russian papers recently, and they say, hey, look at the economic chaos in Europe. Hey, look at the economic chaos over here. They're trying to shift the attention to the economic woes of other people, as if to say, yeah, it's not great right now, but, it's not great for our enemies either. Look what we've done to them. And there's not really a built-up opposition that's going to take advantage of this and say, hey, look, there's problems with this for X, Y, and Z. There's no built-up opposition. There's no built-up civil society. There's no built-up media sphere that can take this apart. So, will these obvious social flaws be exploited by people to bring down the system? Not until I think the pressure becomes immense that these type of institutional controls can no longer hold back the pressure, and that we're still a long ways away from that. Now, how far we are away is dependent on certain actions. For example, if secondary sanctions like Lindsey Graham's bill actually went through, I think the timetable on this would shorten. If new aid packages were signed so that the Russians felt they had to even dedicate more resources towards the war economy, so they wouldn't see the benefits of for 6, 12 months later, or however amount of time, well, they're going to have to cut more from social services, that probably shortens the time window even further. but that's dependent upon an engaged United States, which, despite Zelensky saying they had the most productive meeting yet recently, that's what they say about every meeting, that this was probably the best meeting ever since that one disaster of a meeting in the Oval Office where everything Zelensky warned about ended up being true, which people tend to not revisit that meeting, because if you watch that meeting back, it's like, whoa, everything Zelensky said is right. So they just don't talk about it that much anymore. But ever since then, every meeting's been the best meeting. And it's not really about having any meetings anymore, okay? We don't need any more press conferences or any more, the patty cake, ring around the rosy, whatever they want to do with Keir Starmer and, the Dutch, and I almost called him the Dutch towel boy of Donald Trump for the way he was talking about him. But we need action. We need the president to show that there is a certain amount of bite to his bark. And until he does that, that reconsideration by Russian society, I don't think is going to be coming anytime soon. It's going to be way on the horizon.
I don't really put a lot of hope in Trump. Again, like on my channel, my position is very clear that our best case scenario is Trump just kind of forgets about Ukraine and just allows Ukraine and Europeans to buy weapons. That's
Yeah.
in my book, in my analysis, that's the best case scenario. But I mean, if we get something, if there is push from Lindsey Graham, yeah, obviously. But to be honest, Lindsey Graham, like, you really are gonna put hopes into that guy? Like,
well, I don't put my hopes into Lindsey Graham to stand up for Trump. I maybe put hope in Trump being so self-interested in being able to portray he made a good deal, or being able to get certain people off of his ass when it comes to the fact that, hey, the North Koreans getting 25,000 workers to know how to make long-range UAVs that can be thrown at our allies in Japan and the South Pacific. I don't care what Elbert Colby says. I don't care what any of these, snot-nosed suits that have social climb from desk to desk to desk say. That is bringing power to America's enemies in the Pacific, and that is something that's going to bite us, even if you want to pivot to Asia with zero care for Europe. And as the effects of this war continue to be globalized, I think there's going to be more pressure on the Trump administration, on top of course, his ridiculous promises to end it quickly.
I actually, like, I think you have some valid points here, especially because we do see that the Ukrainian topic does not really disappear from the US media space, right? Despite a lot of efforts we've been from, like, Hexet and so on, and Rubio, to kind of tone down and say, like, oh, we're considering going out. The news articles, like just recently, the one with the stopping of the aid to Ukraine, was it the New York Post that just made like a huge announcement coming
The New
from
York
their
Post, the National Review, basically every single mainstream conservative and liberal-leaning outlet had not opinion pieces. All of their editorial boards come out and basically bow into the direction of, this is shameful what we're doing to the Ukrainians.
Yeah, so basically they're not allowing, like, all of this social, like, and people interest. It's not allowing. So I want to, like, for all people that from US, thank you so fucking much. That's really helpful. As for the timeline for how long this war will go, I started listening to the videos by Vitaly Dribnitsa. I'm sorry for my mispronunciation. He's a Ukrainian historian and also a YouTube personality. So he does this chat roulette videos and talks with Russians, and I discuss history topic. Like, it's an excellent podcast for me when I'm driving an hour somewhere that I can listen to the video. But the interesting thing that he put in perspective is when he got asked this question, and because he's a historian, he says that generally speaking, the historic cycle of aggressive wars for Russia is within that 10-year cycle. So let's say, for example, like, the closest thing we can compare this, like a war in Afghanistan that Soviet Union had. The Russians that have finally got tired of Afghanistan and started protesting, and the war in Afghanistan was then over by the Soviet Union saying, no, right now it's considered to be lost. That happened after 10 years of their presence in Afghanistan. So we already see that there is some indications that Russian society is asking themselves question: how long, what for, and why? Now, this is the third year of the war. So this Vitaly, the Ukrainian historian, He's like an author of the Ukrainian history books in the schools. And he is stating that most likely we could expect, if nothing else changes, if there is no breakthrough, there is no additional pressure, there is no dedication that to end this conflict, we might see Russia and Russian society morally exhaust themselves, the aggressive drive within that 5 to 7 additional year cycle.
Well, uh, you want my opinion on when the war may end? It may end instantly when Putin dies, right? Or their economy collapses. And though the economy collapse doesn't mean the war will end, I think it will end faster if Putin dies than if their economy collapses. But the thing is, even if Putin dies, it doesn't mean that Russians won't be eager to keep coming, to keep coming here, because they are motivated by money a lot. Like, a lot of them come here for money. And the only good thing that we heard from Putin is, well, actually not from Putin, but it was said before. He said that they're going to be reducing the military spending. It was from one of their officials saying that they are going to be decreasing the payments for joining the army. They have this payment that sometimes comes to the 4 million rubles amount, which is actually, let me tell you. So it's like $40,000, right? It's simple. It's around $100. The exchange rate for $1, 100 rubles for $1. So that means $40,000. And a lot of Russians didn't see that kind of money in their lives. Some of them live under the poverty wage, and a lot of them live under the poverty wage. So so I think there's the best motivation for them to join the army. And in this case, this is a really good thing. If they're really going to start paying them less, it's going to be much harder to recruit. Well, also, they are trying to fool a lot of foreigners and not even promising them money, just saying to them that they're going to be working as a cook or
in the gumdrop factory.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes that shit. They just need to make up some unexistent thing, and those dudes will believe it. So the thing is, there's a news that was yesterday pretty loud that Laos is going to be joining Russia in this war. And yeah, Georgij's talking to his chat, I guess. He's not responding to me.
I'm talking to you. It's 50 people.
50 people. Yeah, I know. This is what I didn't finish. I just wanted to say it's only 50 people. So not much of a support on one hand. But there was also a message, not a message, but the news. It was 2 days ago, I guess, that North Korea is about to send another 30,000 people. And that's a good support. And, a lot of Ukrainian soldiers already stated that North Korean warriors, well, we can call them that way actually, are pretty fearsome, and they are a really big danger. So what do you guys think about the North Korea, at least?
I mean, like, the North Koreans are real fighters. They're, of course, like, anytime you're going to go from, not having fought a war since the 50s to having your soldiers deployed in the largest conflict in Europe since World War II, there's going to be some learning curves. There's going to be some difficulties, and the North Koreans has experienced those, definitely during the first few months of service in the Kursk region. But since then, they've trained on drones, and the tactics that they use are, quite incredible. The type of dodging they try to do with these drones and continue these assaults with mass amounts of people. They are trying to exploit the manpower shortages of the Ukrainian armed forces, while taking advantage of the fact that, to be quite blunt, if they lose 1,000 men, there's a good chance the North Koreans can call up 1,000 more. And they see it as also training up a certain amount of force as well. There's a benefit for them to get out of this, as well as the technology sharing, the Pantsers that have been put on North Korean boats. The technology that they're going to gain about long-range drone manufacturing that could be used against the South Koreans, that could be used against the Japanese, that could be used against American bases in the Pacific, any number of enemies of the Kim regime. So there is a lot of incentive for the North Koreans who have been pinned under the sanctions regime and is now being given the ability to avoid that sanctions regime to continue to feed into this. And so this long range pressure that we keep talking about of, when are the Russians going to run out of men, both for the front line and both to man these factories? Well, if they can keep pulling from these foreign sources, this isn't a plug for the problem, but it is something that stops the bleeding, doesn't stop the bleeding, but slows down the bleeding slightly. It gives you a little bit of a blood bag to keep you going for a bit. If this was a war that was going to keep going infinitely, then it wouldn't be a solution. But when we're talking about, the inattentiveness of European and DC-based leaders, another 6 to 8 months is actually quite significant.
Yep.
And I would say that this can be quite significant not only for the Russian war effort, but also for the North Korean geopolitical position, which I believe has strengthened quite significantly compared to 4 years ago.
Yep. Totally right. Georgijs?
To be honest, I mean, I don't think it's a big difference. I mean, is it a talking point? Yes. Is it a something that is going to be really problematic for a lot of Ukrainian soldiers? Absolutely. But then again, if we're talking kind of large picture analysis, like from like these coach sitter from me, like example here, then this doesn't change, because I believe that always the assumption was that Russia is supposedly coming into this war with infinite manpower. So what exactly changed now? They get infinite plus one. So that's kind of like the idea. The fact that they're able, like, and I think I fully agree here with Dylan, that this helps to plug some of the leaking, because the biggest problem for Russia is this war, just period. It's a huge devastation. With regards to losses, Russia is a pretend state, so they found the solution how to deal with losses. Have you heard about this one? So they stopped publishing the birth and death data in Russia. Problem solved. If we just do not say how many people died, then no one is dead. So and that's how it's gonna go. Like, I mean, in a large sense, yes. Like now it's gonna be Russians, now it's gonna be North Koreans, Laotians, and so on. It's not gonna change equation for a big picture, because in big picture, I don't know who was expecting that Russia is just gonna run out of men. I think that's a little bit silly. Even if someone even mentioned that, like, but Madjar said, no, what Madjar said is that we need to destroy per month more Russians than they're able to call in.
Mm-hmm.
That is different than Russia running out of men.
Or
it's
at
not the
least,
same.
or at least the same number as they are gaining. They're gaining 30,000 every month, and Madjar is trying to actually expand it to 30,000. Of course, he is responsible for the line of drones right now and for the unmanned systems forces. But guys, they are pretty effective, and I think there's a huge chance that this focus on destroying primarily the manpower, that's what Madjar is talking about, not hitting the tank. Of course, there is always going to be a drone for a tank, but focus on the manpower. He's telling this to all the units, the drone units on the front line. So if you have an FPV drone, hit the Yoblik, as they call them. Hit the worm. Yoblik is not the worm, guys. This is a different word, but I'm not going to be translating that one to you.
Yours is nice.
Brian R. asking, Rick, how is the current Ukrainian military staffing? Will Ukraine need to recruit more people soon? Ukraine always needs to recruit more. We have a huge shortage of people in our army, especially the experienced officers and surgeons. And that brings us some really huge problems. Georgie was probably reporting on some of them too, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, you want a short version of why Ukraine doesn't have enough manpower? So here you go. Like, people is like, why Ukraine cannot win within the 5-7 years just completely? Because there's a large systematic problem which is called AWOL, like desertion. Ukraine is able to mobilize about 23 to 27,000 people a month. That is at current rate. At the same time, about 15,000 desertion cases are reported every month. So that's a net plus 10,000 before any kind of losses and killed and wounded are occurring.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's tough, and I don't mean that all of these desertion rates are like people leaving completely. Some of them are always staying. Some of them were just like running out of ammo, but they still left the position and just exposed and so on. But it doesn't change the equation that there is this big systematic problem that just like still has no proper solution, and that is kind of like I've been reporting on this and so on, and that's the main part. Ukraine is just understaffed, and there is nothing really that is being properly. I mean, there are things that are being done, but will they work? Will they not? I don't know.
You know, I don't know if you discussed this with your audience, with you guys, but do you know why people tend to desert so much?
Well, I know, like, I talk sometimes, but I mean, go ahead.
So there are a few cases. First of all, I think the biggest problem here and the reason why our soldiers are deserting is not the lack of motivation, okay? Of course, sometimes it is. If people were forcefully mobilized, they lack motivation, obviously. But the problem is the commanders are treating them just like a cannon fodder, just like Russians do treat their own soldiers. Some Ukrainian commanders, the Soviet-headed ones, that we need to totally squeeze out that kind from Ukrainian army, but it's really, really hard, guys. It's a system. It's decades of traditions, and just soldiers just want to die for a stupid order. If they feel that they are cared for by their commanders, if they feel like their commanders won't just waste them, and they will really provide them with equipment, they will care about their training, they will 100% just get them out of the positions when the situation gets bad, they will be really motivated. Even I heard the stories from the soldiers how mobilized guys in their units who lack motivation in the beginning, with a good, with a good care, with a good training and equipment, they became super motivated and they made the difference on the front line. Some brigades are super infamous in this regard. They don't care about their personnel, so in those brigades the rate is huge. But there are some really modern brigades where that desertion rate is super low. So we just need to expand the experience of those brigades on the whole army. But during the war, it's fucking almost impossible. I don't know what can we do here, Georgie.
No, I mean, it's already being done. Like the solution is already very simple. Like and it's already being applied. Just scale the good, reduce the bad. So the biggest issue, like for people that are asking and saying, is like, oh, Georgie, does it mean that Ukraine is losing? No, like this problem has been there for a while. To put, like, for people that all of the people that is like panicking right now in chat and it's like, Ukraine is losing. This problem has been there for a fucking while. Okay, so and Ukraine is not losing. Like, that means they cannot just go into offensive. They cannot overcome Russia. They don't have the quantity they always need to do, and it's like it's a problem. It's an issue. But like, Ukrainians are not going to give up and not going to run out of people that want to enlist. Like because every month I hear, for example, that a person that was still considering whether he or she should enlists finally, and so on. And then some people come back and so on. But the point of the matter is that this is a problem, and this problem mostly stems from the fact that. And this is for all the people from Europe and US, like, it's also our fault, because when Ukraine, after Russia was kicked out of Kiev and Kharkiv region, and Russia started mobilizing, the worst problem is that we have not been supplying weapons to Ukraine at the start of the war, And instead, we were waffling at the end of the Kharkiv offensive, allowing Russia to mobilize and set up the defensive lines instead of helping Ukraine like that. And at that time, when Ukraine didn't have the weapons, the only way they were able to fight is essentially throw bodies. And the only bodies that Ukraine could throw was the veterans of the anti-terrorist operation and the joint operation forces that were fighting in the east. And those people, during those 2 years, all of the best veterans, the absolute top of the top of the top of the Ukrainian military was grinded down by the Russian artillery that was 20-1 at the time. And only because of that, the Ukrainians survived that. But that cost Ukrainians like good officer corps, good experienced soldiers, like the best veterans. Since then, the called-in people, the Ukrainian army, the called-in people, is people that are coming into the officer positions that were trained as officers in this either the Soviet times or even worse, the post-Soviet times, when it was basically, I don't know what army was doing, to be honest, in Ukraine in like 1998. That was a complete different time with different generations. Those people are not fit to be members of the officer corps, but because it's the only one that Ukraine has, that's the issue. So the only way forward for Ukraine is what is being done right now. Make the army corps like 3rd Assault Brigade, Azov, the I believe is it 93rd as well going into there, and some of the other ones like the Marines. Like take corps, take the people that are having good officers, use their experience, create those, transform those brigades based on the experience of the corps, but it's going to take a year and a half minimum.
So, Aziza, this is Georgi. I think Georgijs is his, more accurate name. He's from Latvia. He lives in Denmark these days. And he's a huge supporter of Ukraine. With his community, they raise funds for, I think you already raised like for 50 trucks, right, Georgie? Something like that.
I mean, in total, by this point, our count is like $1.6 million, something like this.
Yeah.
We're accumulated a lot over the last couple of years.
They are super effective. So, yeah, I just want you to meet him. And I also already told you, Georgie, about Aziza. She's a famous. I wish that. You see, I wish that she would be famous. But yesterday she was actually playing on the festival, and after her there was Sviatoslav Vakarchuk with a short program. You know him, right?
Yeah, I actually have a story about him, but go on.
Well, actually, I basically finished. I want you to tell that story and maybe ask Aziza some questions. Maybe Aziza have some questions for you.
We just discussed that I'm like the shittiest interviewer in the universe, and you're like here asking me to ask questions.
You're not the shittiest, man. You're exaggerating.
No.
But you may not ask any questions. I'll ask you. Okay, let's go. You're gonna be calmer.
Go for it.
Yeah. So tell us the story about Vakarchuk.
Oh, it was just like me. That's how I introduced to who Vakarchuk is. We were in Kyiv and celebrating like a birthday of one of my friends, and it was like his like 20th birthday. So we rented an apartment in one of the I think it was like near one of the trading malls. I don't know what it's called, like Ocean something.
Ocean Plaza.
Yeah, Ocean Plaza, somewhere there. And then like we rented, so we bought stuff. Like we bought like 2 bags, and we going with the bags like full of like vodka and stuff, and like some sausages, and going up to this place that we rented out. And then kind of we come up to door. It's like our hands are tied, and we're like, oh my god, I cannot enter. And then a guy is like, I'll help you. So the guy comes and like opens doors for us. Is like, thanks. And I go along, and the guy's just like, and we go into the elevator, and they're like, dude, have you seen who it was? I was like, no, what? This was like Vakarchuk. It's like, so apparently like we stayed like at the place where he also stayed, and he was kind of just going out there or standing there, and that's how I got to introduce to who he was.
Yeah, guys, if you don't know who he is, he's the lead singer of the band called Okean Elzy. They are famous in Ukraine for at least, I don't know, 30 years. Yeah, they've been like having pretty famous hits since the 90s, like mid 90s. Yeah, and his voice is powerful. I heard him live for the first time actually yesterday. I didn't hear him before. Aziza, did you hear him before?
I think me too.
You too. Wow.
Is how is the living there right now? How did you feel the change with the lesser shutdown range rate of the Shaheeds now?
I can definitely feel it. I like before this year, I could not hear Shaheeds much, like hear them for real, like man, that buzzing fucking sound. Now I hear it every time they attack Kyiv massively, and I hear at least 10 or 15 of them every night, man. So it is getting worse because they are actually improving them, and they now fly higher, and those machine gun crews and mostly machine gun crews, they just cannot get them down now. This is why this topic with Shahed interceptors, the drones, is so hot in Ukraine right now, and this is why Zelensky is talking about it that much and trying to get new investments into that production, because that's something that is more effective these days. Of course, it will change in the future because, as always, in this battle of shield and sword, as soon as we find the shield against Shaheeds, they improve their sword, and there's a new challenge. But that's just like that. At this point, you see, the problem is not that much with drones as with the crews that will be operating them. The units, we lack pilots. We really don't have enough Shahed drone pilots right now. And though they kind of make it easier for civilians here. If they want to shut down Shaheeds, they can join the specialized units exactly for doing that. So it feels like more safe work for many civilians. At least it sounds safer for me. So yeah, we have this new challenge, and we have many more sleepless nights. This Friday I heard Shahed drones flying over and then exploding a few times. Sometimes they were being shot at the skies, but a lot of them are just landing now. It's not that effective with air defense as previously. But then at 2:30 a.m., I was basically listening for 2.5 hours, laying in my bed and listening them flying and exploding, and then they started hitting us with ballistics, and man, we have no Patriot missiles left. Trump really shut down those shipments at the critical point. He really played well for Putin, and I heard, if I won't say, okay, let's say around 5 of them landing, and there was no Patriot systems shooting, because I usually hear them. One of them is relatively I like that patch. One of them is relatively close, so I usually can hear it flying off, and this time I couldn't hear any of them. We just don't have them. And do you think Trump did it intentionally to help Putin at this critical point when we ran out of them?
So I'm going to be making video about an analysis, but I can kind of spoil for people that it's not a lot of my people, so they will still watch it here. But thanks for everyone here. But long story short, the Trump's administration don't know what the fuck they're doing. There was a couple of theories about what was happening with the shipments. Was it the malice, or was it incompetence, or was it something else? Because the messages that Trump was putting out, the way that they have been talking recently with NATO successful summit, a big victory for Trump, with Zelensky kind of rhetoric going up, again victory for Trump. In his statements and conversations with Putin, Trump is coming out and he's stating not both sides are actually at fault, but Putin is really, really not really helping bring this peace together, specifically calling out Vlad here. So, and then suddenly the aid for Ukraine stops. It's because is it a pressure tactic? What is this for? And then kind of people's started digging in that it's supposedly like it's the Hegseth, and he's like what's it called, Aldrich Colby, I think it was called, like, I forgot the name, sorry, I need notes in before my help, like super like anti-Ukrainian guy, and supposedly they did some kind of review, and they said like, oh, we need to have stocks of supplies, but then that's actually was a lie, because the supplies are actually enough. And more importantly, the supplies that they're supposedly saving, okay, you can say Patriot missiles, that's reasonable, but 84 launchers, like 84 is the shoulder held, like this light anti-vehicle launcher. Like, unless US suddenly decides to go up against, I don't know actually who. It's like, who does it expect to use it for? So it's obviously a nonsense.
Yeah.
So it was just someone somewhere doing something that was completely unallied with everything else. It's a chaos over there. So and kind of like right now there is not a full understanding of what specifically needs to be done, because apparently the way that it was presented, because this Colby guy, he is like he's pretty good on this bureaucracy thing. So he kind of, the way that he set up this cutoff of supplies to Ukraine, that it's actually a bit problematic to kind of restart them quickly. I mean, unless there is like a dedicated will to do so, but like expecting that there is like a major will from Trump, I think it's a bit of a rich thing. So like the whole thing is just a mess. It's a chaos, and this is like my current expectation, that this is just like, there are individuals that are very, very anti-Ukraine. They're very pro-Russia within the Trump's cabinet, and they're very, very clearly trying to work against Ukraine the way that they can, because nothing was suggesting that this should have been happening. There was no like discussion with like, because like if you want to put pressure on Ukraine, it was like, well, there wasn't any cabinet meeting like they did with Zelensky, so there's no pretense. Actually, Zelensky just came out, said we spoke with Trump. It was the best conversation ever, as Dylan mentioned. So that's the problem. And I want to answer one more thing, because it was asked in the question with regards to the interceptors. So the short answer, interceptors are good. The long answer is the Shaheeds are quite a problem for the interceptors. As
by
Rick
the
mentioned,
interceptors, you mean drones?
interceptor drones, yeah.
Drones, yeah.
So as Rick mentioned, the interceptors needs a team to use them, and more importantly than just a team, there is a huge challenge with these Shahed drones, because the biggest thing that was changed of Shahed drones is that now they fly extremely high. So a lot of these Shahed drones, they fly like 5, 7, and sometimes 10, 12,000 meters from the ground. That's like, what is it, miles? Like 7, 8,000 miles?
Yeah.
No,
So
8.
not
7, 8
thousand
miles,
miles.
7,
just
8 miles,
Yeah.
like from the ground. So they're basically almost like plane cruising speed. It's very high up. So imagine you have like a small drone, and that drone like has propellers. How long do you think it would take for that drone to go up? That is question number one. Question number two: do you think you will have signal that far out to that drone that you would be able to maneuver that drone?
Georgie,
Third,
okay, yeah, please finish, then I'll tell you.
No, it's fine. Let's just.
Third, what's the
because
third?
I'm gonna tell more than I should.
Okay. Okay, I just know we have the solution. We already have drones from Wild Hornets, Diкі Шершні, who are flying 12 kilometers high.
Yeah, but it's not an interceptor drone.
An interceptor.
That drone, the fact the drone can fly that high up, it's not an interceptor drone.
We actually already have reports from Sternenko that the solution was found, and they're working pretty well now.
Then the only reason is like to get more of these produced, and that's the question of production.
Yeah, production of specialists. We really need to train more specialists. We need more men. So guys, actually it will be a good by the way, this camera is not focused on my face. Let's do it. Okay, much better. So what I wanted to say, this is actually a good recruiting moment. I would like you to think about it. You can join the Ukrainian army to sit in a rear and just get the Shaheeds down. You will be saving people's lives. We have one friend who is joining the Nemesis regiment of the Unmanned Systems Forces, Stefan Baer, and he will also, maybe, I'm not sure, this is not the only thing they're doing, but what Nemesis is doing, I know that they're also shooting down the Shahed drones, and they have some success in it too. So yeah, if you were thinking to come to Ukraine, this is one of the options. Well, I mean, to come serve in the Ukrainian army, this is one of the options that you may consider. Aziza, we were talking about Shahed drones and the challenge that Ukraine is facing right now to intercept 500 of them per night. And I know that in Odessa, it's also super loud lately, and you have a lot of Shaheds flying over your place too. So can you share some of the experience of your own with Shahed drones lately?
Yeah, the most interesting thing that they change the strategy how they work with Shaheds, and they begin to work more effective. So what they did, they like they collect all Shaheds in one place together. So long time, like for example, in centrum of the sea. So they collect a lot of Shaheds, and then all these Shaheds are flying on the different places, and they like together they felt in different places, and it's begin to hard to work with this.
Intercept them, right?
And
Hard
it's
to intercept. Yeah.
I know that some people said that it's very like crazy to hear Shaheds together when they are flying together on one place, and like this is in one moment. So like we have really good our soldiers that work with this. Sorry for my bad English, but they try to do defend us not in front of the buildings. They try to do it in the sea. They try to really defend our lives, especially where I live. It's very important. So yeah, I think the Shaheds are very disgusting weapons, because it's like one person said it's a cheap. It is cheap death for you, because the sounds are disgusting, and unfortunately they took the life of the people, and it's really awful. Where in the place where I live, it's in the beginning of full-scale war, it was more transit place. So a lot of Shaheds were flying through our like small city, and it was another experience. But now they really target us, and they are flying they are flying exactly in our direction, and it's crazy a little bit. Sometimes I feel nothing, like I'm indifferent. So I don't want to hide myself. I don't want to run. Sometimes it's really very scary to be in this situation, and I could understand why a lot of people, a lot of men, were going in, so joined to the army, because it's a really disgusting feeling when you could not, you are like a animal. You're like animal that's in the corner куту.
Corner.
Загнаний в кут, як це сказати?
Cornered.
Like you cornered, and you could do nothing, and it's disgusting feeling that you have no your will. And this is why I can understand how great and brave these people who join the army and don't want to be in this position. They want to defend us. They want to do everything for changes. So I respect these people. But yeah, now I'm in such situation, like I'm such person. But in general, when you are doing your work, for example, when I'm creating the art, and during such attack, I feel myself that it's really art of the war. It's really something not normal. but now it's our normal life. But it's not normal. It's not normal be like to be okay with such sound, with such really really big terror. So it's terror because Russian used um, place where live the people. They just want to kill some people. They want to destroy our infrastructure. They want to burn our grain, especially in this region.
Mm-hmm.
So they, so it's like we can say that it's like a second part of genocide that famine that they did in the past. So it's like it's awful. When I try to think about this, I feel myself very bad because nobody stopped Russian in the past, and now they continue to do same crime. They continue to do it without, you know, feeling that they could answer in the future. So they are really inspired of supporting some leaders of United States and other leaders, and they inspired more. And how we say that during the Trump time, Trump's time, they did it more with bigger, inspiration. Really, it's not peaceful time at all. So when somebody said that we can give Trump, this awards of peacemaker, it's absolutely big lie. It's like we talk about Obama yesterday with my friend Warrior, and also Obama had has some this award. So he, I think, if I'm right, so some like he brought the peace in this world in the time when Russian first time occupied Crimea and began this war. And he tried to make the peace and said, Ukrainian, please don't fight with Russia. Please let Russia occupy Crimea. But most important, that we have the peace and we can make the business with Russia, and we can, you know, like sold everything with Russia, and we can make this illusion of, nothing has happened, everything is okay. So it's like I think the world still don't know understand about sense of the peace, and they still thinking about collaboration like a peace, like a variant of the peace. When we can say, okay, you're aggressor, but we can say, okay, let it be because it's not important country, it's a small country, and we are okay, so we can still think that everything is all right.
What we need to understand is the world is not ideal. Like, world
Yeah.
is full of shit. It's the unfortunate thing is
Yep. You're
the
right.
absolutely, like, because for you it feels absolutely unfair that this is happening to Ukraine, and like there is no pain in the world that can be ever enough for you to understand. And for everyone else, this is so detached for a lot of people. Like, I'm not talking about people in chats, like the fact that people are staying here in chat and engaged and like participating, it's like 19 more than 99.9999% that are the rest in the world, like compared to, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put it this way, like, it's like, look at the videos of who's the most popular is like right now, Denis Davidov or like Jake Bro. How much views they get per video? Like 300,000.
Mm-hmm.
Good, pretty cool, pretty good. A new single by a K-pop artist will get probably like 100, 200 million, right?
Yep.
So people are not engaged.
Aziza,
People are not engaged. Majority of
something.
people, for them, this is like a background noise. It doesn't impact there. The impact is only felt when the bombs start dropping, like on their own heads. So that moment
Yep.
is for Ukraine, and I recognize that this is the case, that this is majority. That's why I value our community that we have here. That's why I value every single person here, except for Steve. Fuck Steve. But everyone else, I do value very much. And when people say, like, Ukraine doesn't fight for peace, Ukraine fights for independence, I think it's true. But like, Ukraine never chose war. Like the war came to Ukraine. And that is specifically what I want to promote in our community. And everyone kind of watches this from the side and still will support. The point of the matter is we are engaged. It's on our shoulders to make sure we understand that the war can come to us. Like if it's going to get out of Ukraine, it's in our interest to make sure that Ukraine right now wins, prevails, and we find a way how to destroy these shaheeds. Like and that is fully on us, and I'm really hoping that we're going to continue helping with what we can and help with your fundraiser today and everything else, and at some point hopefully find a solution for shaheeds, because this is in our own interest as well.
Yep, you're totally right. 4, 3, 2, 1. I could hear myself. 0, let's go. I'm spinning the wheel. Let's see who is gonna win it today. Fingers crossed, everyone. And the winner is number 502. Tuna, let's go there and see if you're the lucky one. 502. 502. 502. Laura S. is winning the Kraken patch. She's the lucky one today. But we'll see. Maybe Laura wants to share it with you. Laura, I wonder if you're still watching the stream. Laura is not chatting. She's never chatting. But she may send a response with her donation. So, guys, Laura S. donated $50 and she said next. These are for the next raffle. For sure, patch is for Tuna. I will win the next one. Oh, shit. The phone was shaking. Is it because your room was shaking?
Yeah.
So it was striking not so far from you somewhere. Shit. How are you, Aziza?
I'm okay.
How's the adrenaline? Was it? Did you have some?
Just
extra?
you're hearing this shahed, and you know that it could be here. Like it's like he's running somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and in just moments you just focus on his sound, and you can understand that he could be here, but he's felt somewhere else. You know, just.
I think there also might be a sense of relief when Shahid is hitting and you understand that it's not hitting you. Do you feel relief? Полегшення. Відчуваєш?
Yeah, of course. It just, when you don't know what will happen, it's like it's very uncomfortable feeling, and you just don't understand what will be in next moment.
Yeah. Laura, you're really awesome. That's what Tracy Oceanfire said. Tuna, so you're getting the patch after all. Congratulations and thanks, Laura S, for giving it to Tuna. Did Tuna already go to sleep? I wonder. Oh no, Tuna is here. She's saying... I mean, sending the emoji. Basically not saying that, but just showing the faces. You need to go to sleep. Aziza, thank you for being here today. You're
Thank you,
amazing.
Rick. Yeah, I was happy to be with you this moment. Thank you so much, but for everything you did. Thank you, dear friends, for everything you do indeed.
Thank you, Aziza.
You're amazing community.
Yeah.
So warm and so, powerful.
Yep. They are. And so we streamed for exactly 5 hours. It's time to finish. Thank you. Aziza, you would like to say
Thank
something
you.
before we leave?
Thank you, friends. Take care of yourself. See you on Tuesday. Hug you.
Yeah. Thank you to Aziza. We love you and live long and prosper. And good night. Please
Good
stay
night.
safe.
Слава Україні.
Героям слава. Героям слава. Stay safe. Please don't be killed by Shahid, okay? Thank you.
You too.
Thank you. I won't be hateful. Hateful? What? What do we say to death? Not today.
Not today.
Not today. Okay. Good night, everyone. It
Good
was a
night.
great time. Bye, guys.
Добраніч.
Героям слава. Thank you for watching. Please like this video, leave any comment under it, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. You can find the full stream recording. This clip was taken from here. And I invite you to join us on Rig the Ukrainian here for live streams and videos from Ukraine. Thank you, and live long and prosper.